What's up, everybody? It's your man Sam here. We're gonna have some heavy hitters on. I'm talking family racing, some stuff that, you just don't get every day. People that are genuinely racing because they love it, they care about it. So, I don't know, but I have Mark and Camry Caruso from the Caruso Family Racing. I have them on. How's it going today, guys? You guys do your quarantine with the Carusos earlier today. It's Tequila Tuesday, it's Taco Tuesday, so that's really fun. But just how's it going? Give a little introduction of who you guys are and what you guys are about.
So we race as a family. We kind of call it Caruso Family Racing. My grandpa started when he was really young, raced throughout the year, a lot of different cars and classes. And my dad started when he was young, same thing, whole lot of different cars and classes. And then when I was old enough to be in a junior, I started, and I've been in a whole lot of different dragster classes and stuff up until this point.
Yeah, and like you said, your grandfather, your dad, yourself. So, I mean, most people don't get that experience of racing, traditions of racing and continuing it. So that's what I think it was really cool to have you guys on. And then, especially with what you guys are doing with your family page, having different vendors on in a time like, now where, this whole pandemic has kind of broke out. And I catch myself all the time saying I'm not going to talk about it. But I mean, it's the topic of today, right? I mean, we're all going through it. Hopefully the trends are going the other way at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to, really.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean,
when we got back from Gainesville after they canceled the Gator Nationals, we just kind of put our heads together, Camry and I, and said, how can we keep ourselves and our marketing partners relevant, throughout this time that we're not going to be able to be at the racetrack, and that's where the show Quarantined with the Carusos came up, and the idea of doing the manufacturers midday midway. And then we really got to give props to Wes Buck over at Drag Illustrated. In talking with him, he kind of helped us with the idea of doing the stories from the strip and having different racers on and tell stories. So it's kind of just evolved a lot more than we ever really kind of originally talked about or thought it would. It's kind of, we even did that silly little pros versus Joe's drag race and our daily drivers there. And I think Camry said the other day that thing was up over 14,000 views or something.
well, yeah, it is. It's because it gave us the racers and the race family and the teams. It gave us all something to watch that was still racing, even though it was done at a smaller scale. It was just something fun to watch and to see. People still being able to go out and race and go out and do things and have fun, even though you may be on a lockdown or a stay at home, that you can still go out and do stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really, what we were trying to do is just, kind of stay interactive with people and interactive with the racing and you know get it's worked on a lot of different fronts. It's almost doubled our Caruso Family Racing page on Facebook. A lot of our marketing partners that have been on the show have said that they've seen their followers grow tremendously on Instagram and Facebook, and even have gotten some additional sales that they might not have had we not had them on the show.
And I think, like I said, in a time like today, it's definitely important. And you hit the nail right on the head with Wes Buck. He is a true promoter in helping anyone he possibly can to help other people because he loves the sport as much as we do. So it's just one of those things where as much as you can help someone or you can help, your marketing partners that help you get to the racetrack and help you get down the track, um, it's really beneficial to help them. But, just to dive kind of right into everything, Mark, you race an NHRA Pro Mod. I know Camry is like really trying to get into a door car. So anyone that watches you guys' stuff, she's like pushing you every day to get into a door car. So just tell me what that experience is like to be in a pro mod driver? Like that's what we all dream of, but like what is it actually like to strap into, a high horsepower car and to take it down a rip on the track?
Well, honestly, it kind of happened by mistake. I never really intended to become a pro mod driver. I grew up, racing super street, super gas, super comp, top dragster, top sportsman, and my heart was really in top sportsman. And I had raced that for quite a few years. My father, growing up as a kid, my father always had fast top sportsman cars, and he had some pro mod cars that he had, drivers for. Um, so it was kind of by accident. We were actually, my father and I were at a race at the end of the season one year. I want to say 2015, I think it was. Um, we were we were at a race at the end of the season at our local drag strip for a quick eight race with our top sportsman car, which was a nitrous car. We had always been nitrous guys. And Mike Janis was there because it was in his hometown, and he had some customers there, and he was there just talking with us, and one thing led to another, and him and my father got talking about after Vegas, his Camaro. He was going to put his Camaro for sale after Vegas, and that was the year that he finished number two with that car. Um, we had struck a deal with him at the racetrack that we would buy it after Vegas. But our intentions were to top sportsman race with it. We had no intentions of going pro mod racing because we bought the car rolling, and he had another engine that he sold us that wasn't specific to NHRA pro mod. And um, we went out first couple of races, and we realized that we really couldn't slow the car down enough to top sportsman race. And about the third race of the season, we went and tried our chances at a PDRA race and entered Pro Boost and qualified, in the middle of the field and made it to the semifinals in our first race. So you know, that that's kind of how the whole pro mod thing started. I raced Pro Boost for about 3 years, and once again back to West Buck. I want to say it was 2018. Wes had invited me. This was right after we bought the '69 Camaro from Todd Tutterow and had Lee White, who Noonan Racing at the time, build us a Noonan 4.9. And Wes invited us out to Denver for the World Series of Pro Mod. Um, and at that point, we didn't have any quarter mile runs on that, on that combination at all. But, just the fact that we were invited and had never been out to Vandermeer Speedway before, we were like, screw it, let's go. What's the, worst that can happen? And we went out there early, and we spent 4 or 5 testing and testing, and Lee tested all different tire sizes, gear ratios, converters, and until he found a combination he was happy with. And you know um, we had a lot of fun out there, and did well. Came home from that and got a call from Danny Rowe, who invited us to NHRA's Indy Pro Mod race, and that was the very first NHRA Pro Mod race for myself was Indy of 2018, and we kind of just never looked back.
And that's what's great about it. Like you mentioned, your team, Lee White. I got the chance to kind of talk to him a little bit down in Orlando at the World Doorslammer, something that we will talk about here in a bit. But it's always nice to hear that you have these racers who love their team so much that that's the first thing that they want to talk about. Like they're always giving props, to their team, because we realize, like, yeah, you're the driver, you're the face of it, but someone's turning the wrenches on it too. Someone's helping you get down the track. So it's always nice to, hear the drivers talk about them. But then also with Camry, I know she has Lola for sale right now, but Camry, kind of just talk about like you're experiencing seeing your or I don't know if you actually saw your grandfather in the cars, but then seeing your dad in the cars. Now you're following up in the ranks. So just kind of talk about that, Camry.
I've always liked that it's been a family thing, like mainly, but it's pretty neat to be able to move up to some classes that they've raced, just because I've watched them race a whole lot of different stuff, so it's neat. I think it was a couple weeks ago, Dad was like joking around saying he'll retire, and I didn't like that very much. I had a near nervous breakdown.
But you have your car for sale, so if he kind of retires, doesn't that mean that you automatically get that car?
I'd rather do it a different way so we could do it together.
No, I'm just totally joking when I say that, and I would hate to see Mark get from behind the wheel of a car. I mean, it's just one of those things where you can see you don't really get to see that many father-daughters or father-sons race, but now you have the chance, to live a legacy just like, someone like John Force and, that whole legacy. You guys are building your own team, your own legacy there. So that's really interesting, really cool to have you guys like. But what are your goals, I would say, Camry, because you just licensed, you're in your car. Everything I hear is that you want to get into a door car. So kind of just tell us about that.
Well, last week I was down at Frank Holly's to get in a door car, like you mentioned, and see if I liked it, if I was any good at it, just get comfortable and stuff and make passes. And when I left there, I kind of made the decision that I wanted a door car for sure. I wanted to race a door car as soon as possible. So we did find a pretty top sourcing car that I do like, that I would like to run. So that is where Lola is up for sale.
That's awesome. Like you said, even before you got there to Frank Holly's school, you knew you wanted to get into a door car, but now even more, it's like, you know what? I left here. This didn't really deter me to do anything. It wanted me to continue, to pursue my passion, right?
Yep. I have always loved pro mods and always bothered Papa and Dad. I'm like, I want to race pro mod. I want to race pro mod. I like pro stock too, so either one works for me. But that kind of just clarified it, if that's the right word.
Mad Bro Motorsports, located North Hill, Minot, North Dakota, the leading performance and parts store. If there's anything you need for your hot rod, give Slam and Sam and the gang a call. 701-720-7996. Again, that is Mad Bro Motorsports. 701-720-7996. On the way to being free. So now with going into the 2020 race season, things got shaken up a little bit there with you, Mark, after your accident in Bristol. So that kind of changed things for what you guys had planned for the car. So how does that, after everything that happened in Bristol and then looking forward into 2020, how did that kind of change everything that you guys wanted to do?
Well, it's having to have the car fixed took a pretty good sized chunk out of our racing budget. So we really didn't have any intentions this year without some type of a sponsor, a decent sized financial sponsor to run the NHRA series. We were pretty much going into 2020 focusing on just running Pro Boost in the PDRA series, those 8 races, and and going after a championship there. Um, and if there were opportunities and funding to get to an NHRA race, then we would do it. And that's kind of how the rent a ride thing kind of came about with Alex and Orlando, as well as the Gator Nationals. He had funding and a sponsor, but didn't have a car, and I had a car and no funding and a sponsor. So that's kind of how that came about, and and that could possibly continue. Will it? I don't know, because of obviously the current state of affairs in the country right now. But if Alex was still able to put together some funding for some races, then we would continue to let Alex drive the car at NHRA, and again, my focus is mainly going to be on a PDRA Pro Boost Championship.
And you don't see much of that. Someone that's willing to give up their own personal seat for someone else to drive. Even though Alex is an extended friend of you guys, he's now a part of your team. But you don't get to see many people saying, you know what, hey, right now maybe not be the best time for us, but we can give up, your seat to give it to someone else to then reach a bigger goal. Because at the end of the day, whether Alex is in the car, whether you're in the car, someone else is in the car, it's still the end goal of being a team and bringing home a championship like you guys did back in March in Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, having grown up going to the races myself and Camry, and there's nowhere else my father loves to be besides work, which he doesn't really call work. He loves our job so much he's never called it a job. But his next favorite place to be is the racetrack. So if it means that Alex has the funding for us to be able to get there, and I just have to be the guy that is Alex's cheerleader for the weekend, then yeah, I can get past that as long as I'm at a racetrack with my family and my friends.
And then people are going to say, well, you guys own this and you guys own your company. Hopefully things get better. You guys can get back out to work and, get back to doing what you guys do for people's kitchens and remodeling cabinets, the Caruso family business. But that brings it to another thing, is the World Doorslammer. It's kind of, I shouldn't say started the race season, but for most of us, that kind of started the race season, right? Usually people would say Gainesville is their first big race, but West Buck and Drag Illustrated and C-Tech Manufacturing and Elite Performance and a whole slew of people came together and put on this race. So kind of describe going into this race. What was kind of the atmosphere? What was the bond going into that? What was kind of like what you guys thought the race would be like?
Well, I mean, honestly, I felt fairly confident. The car had already been to the U.S. Street Nationals at Bradenton in January. I wasn't able to make that race. My back wasn't 100% at the time, and Camry was leaving that weekend to move to Oklahoma to go take her job at Elite, working on Erica's car. And I really, had a hard time going down there and not spending my last weekend with Camry at home. So we my father and I reached out to Tommy D. April, who has been a teammate of ours over, at the PDRA side for a couple of years now, and asked him if he'd be willing to drive the car, because Al Billis's car, who Tommy typically drives for, it wasn't ready yet. And so Tommy, I think, qualified like number 3 down there and went to the final and just had to pedal the car in the final. And because he got around him by like 3 or 4 thou, I can't remember the exact number, something like that. But so, I felt fairly confident that, the car was, if not back to what it was, actually better than what it was after Robert Hayes. I like to tell everybody he put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Um, and so and I have all the faith in the world in Lee White. I mean, there isn't another guy, that I would ever want, tuning my stuff. Between him and Al, the brain trust there is just absolutely phenomenal. So, I'm very impressed with Alex as a driver, and even more so after that race. There was some instances where we really stumbled and struggled in testing, and he kept his composure and never even phased him at all. At one point, I want to say it was one of the qualifying rounds. Um, Something got flustered. We couldn't get the car going. By the time we got the car going, the other car was already getting ready to stage. Alex basically just rushed, got the dirt off the slicks and rolled right up and staged the car. And I think we went like a 573 or something. It was, yeah. So
something 70.
So I mean, it just, his demeanor and composure and his focus on his focus is definitely one of the best that I've ever witnessed. So, putting all that together on Sunday, I was feeling kind of cute and thought we might win 50 G's.
I'm definitely gonna have to post that picture. And when you say you're feeling kind of cute, this is what I think.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
But definitely, so you kind of just already started talking about it all, but Camry kind of put that together, right? And you mentioned that she's working with Elite, so she's got a huge idol. I mean, with Erica there, she's working on her car, but like, I mean, if you're not a fan of Erica, then I don't know. She's one of the nicest person in the world, like point blank, period. Like, I don't care what a lot of people say. But, she's working on that. Then she gets Alex to come over and, work that whole deal out. But then, like you said, Alex just brushes the tires off. I remember standing at the starting line when that happened, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, you didn't just do a full burnout. Like, you're rushed. Like, I know when I get in my car, granted, my car doesn't have, nowhere near the power you guys do, but you've got your sequences, right? You do your burnout, you back up, you check this, you rev the motor, you do whatever you do. And he just kind of came up and was like, burp, yep, all right, I'm pulling in. And some of the media guys, we looked at each other like, this ain't gonna be good. Like, I know in my head, I'm thinking he's gonna blow the tires off. And Alex, granted, is one of my top drivers. He's one of my favorite drivers because, we're in the same age category and everything like that. But even when you go to interview him after something bad has happened, or with all this craziness that he has to go through with the no prep stuff, he laughs about it all. He has a good attitude. And it was funny that you mentioned, you feeling cute, because I remember walking past the pits and I said, hey, Mark, good luck. And you were walking up and we're going into the finals. And I'm like, okay, like, he's way too calm. Because if it was me, I'd be, don't talk to me, don't touch me, don't look at me, nothing. And you were just like, yeah, thanks, man. And then I remember JT, Murder Tundra, he looks over at you and you literally said, feeling cute, might win 50K. And I'm like, this dude is way too relaxed right now going into the finals. So, Camry, what did you think about the whole weekend down in Orlando? How did you feel about it? You're right up in the car. You're hands-on with everything too. So how was that experience for you?
Well, as most everybody knows, I love my race cars. I love both of them very much. So with somebody else driving, I was definitely a little nervous. Nothing against Alex. It was different for us, and I was like, oh, hopefully this goes well. So, but Alex is a really good driver. He keeps his calm. He doesn't really get flustered a whole lot, and he kind of just like did his thing, and he did a really good job. And honestly, he's probably, him and Tommy D are probably one of the few people I'd be like, okay, they should come back and drive again, even because it's just nerve wracking when someone else is driving a race car.
Yeah,
But
I couldn't imagine just jumping into someone's car and being like, "All right, yeah, here we go. Like, let's go and win a race."
Right? It was definitely crazy, and you would not have thought we would have won on test day, like, at all. So it was definitely a crazy weekend, but I'm glad they came forward. And
yeah, I wasn't gonna bring up testing, but you did. So I mean, you guys kind of have the testing and all the bugs that you guys worked out. It was, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a Cinderella story, but I mean, that was a Cinderella story after what you guys went through in testing, and then to pull into the finals. And I talked to Alex before the final round, and I asked him in an interview, I said, Alex, what do you think? Like, you have a pretty good chance of winning this. And he says, man, I'm never going to say we can do it, but I think we have the car and I have the tuner, and I think we can do it. You know, and he basically said it. There's a chance of you guys doing it, and you know, I mean, just like you said on the top end, and I hate to bring this up, and I'm probably going to get some slack from some of the other guys, but where's the Reaper, right? Like, I mean, and Mark, you laugh because you know what that's about, but it's like, you know, it's like, oh my God, this really just happened. Like, pinch me. We just went from a hellhole of testing, and now we're walking away with 50K.
We kind of call it the circus act.
Yeah, no, it was a hot mess. You know, it literally felt like we just couldn't do anything right the first couple of days of testing. And I'm just glad we got it all out of the way and then crushed everybody.
We literally, like, usually everybody's so positive, but Dad was like, I want to go home. I'm like, stop it. We suck now, but we're going to win the race. And then we won the race. Like, I think everybody wanted me to go away because I wouldn't stop saying that.
There's always got to be one person in the pits that's like, you know what, hey, this is going to be the pass. This is going to be the pass. But in honors of Tequila Tuesday for Mark and for Taco Tuesday for the rest of the world, LS Teca Mexican food located here in Minot, North Dakota on the north side. If you want the best and authentic Mexican food located in Minot, North Dakota, please check out the gang up at LS Teca Mexican food located right near the Minot International Airport. Go up there, try one of the burritos, and I guarantee you will not leave hungry. The best and authentic Mexican food here in Minot, North Dakota. Again, that is LS Teca for all your dine-in and dine-out needs. Tool Built Tuesdays every Tuesday, and then you have your Tequila Tuesday. So what is that like for you? I mean, you know, you can eat tacos. You guys say you eat tacos every Tuesday at your house also, right?
We did. We actually got done having Taco Tuesday, and actually today I switched it up. We didn't have Fran from Commissario on today, so I switched it up, and I'm celebrating Tito's Tuesday and Taco Tuesday. But our good friend Fran at Commissario Tequila, and we do try to have him on as much as we can. And you know, the Tool Time Tuesday, that kind of came about once again from Camry. She had developed a relationship through Alex with the people over at Power Built Tools between Pomona and Phoenix. And, you know, after Gainesville, when we were sitting down trying to think of companies to have on, Cameron was like, oh, you know, the people at Power Built are great. You know, let me reach out to them, see if they would be interested. They're really super nice people. They're great. You got great products. And so I didn't know anything about them until, you know, Camry had brought them to the table. And it's just one of those things that just kind of snowballed and evolved. And we had them on just as a manufacturer. Power Built, Greg Livingston, who's I believe he's the CEO of the company, was on first. And we got somehow it came up in the first conversation of when he was on our show for Manufacturers Midday Midway. I was like, really enjoyed learning about their products. And, he seemed like a great guy. And I was like, you know what? From now on, it was a Sunday when he was on. I was like, you know what? Tuesday, let's do a Tool Time Tuesday. And, when we did it the first time with Des and she came on, and we were like, you know what? This is officially Tool Time Tuesday from now until the end of whenever we decide. And it's just kind of steamrolled from there. And they've been, they've been great to have on, and we really enjoy them, and we're looking forward to even building more of a future with them, possibly as a marketing partner for Caruso Family Racing.
Exactly. So then this past weekend, you guys take the trip down and go to Woodstock. I know I had to text Camry because I'm sitting in my office doing some planning for video stuff that I had going on, and I get a text message from a friend that says no more spectators at Woodstock. So it was like, we can have spectators, and then there was no spectators. And then all of a sudden there was limited spectators, and then there was a little bit more, and then all of a sudden, unlimited spectators. So everybody was like, heck yeah, here we go. Full on Woodstock racing, like we're back in action. And then next thing you know, like that, boom, done because of someone crazy out there. But what was your experience like at Woodstock? You hear from a lot of different people, and then you guys had your grudge race that was supposed to happen, but some company that we're not going to mention because I don't like that company either, but they send a lot, they deliver a lot of parts, even though it's like they sit on the dock for 4 days, but I'm not going to talk about that because I'll probably get in trouble. But yeah, you guys are supposed to have your grudge race. So what was Woodstock like for you guys?
I thought it was awesome. I had never been to anything like that before. I know Camry's been to, would you go to Lights Out or something? Didn't you go to one of those?
That's a small grudge race.
Oh, small. Okay, yeah. I had never been to anything like that, and where Keith had us pitted was like the most perfect spot for where, and hopefully I don't get anybody in trouble here, but I don't think I will, because I mean, there were spectators, but they weren't spectators like you would normally be. I mean, you got to remember there was 300 cars on the grounds, right? So now those 300 cars, say they got 4 crew people each, right? So you had all those spectators when things were running. So there was a lot of people around the starting line and up against the wall and the fence, and a couple of times they had to tell people to get out of the stands on the pit side because a lot of the racers and their crew members were going up in the stands to watch the racing, and apparently that wasn't being allowed. But where we were pitted was where like all the crowds were gathering and betting, and I even got into a little betting myself. I was having fun with it, and it was a great time. Keith put on a great race. I applaud him. His back was against the wall. Like, most, I believe most promoters probably would have canceled the race, or just kept postponing it. And, he picked the date, got approval for that date, and, he went for it. Because even when he first went for it, it wasn't going to have spectators. Then it came out, a week or so later that they could have spectators. And then unfortunately, from what I understand, and I don't know, this may just be hearsay, and I may not have the correct information, but it was my understanding that there was a bomb threat to the Darlington Speedway down the road where they were going to have the NASCAR race on Sunday. So because of that, they also, which doesn't make any sense because they weren't having spectators of that race anyways, but apparently that was their reasoning for telling us that there wasn't going to be spectators at Darlington. I don't think it certainly didn't affect the atmosphere or the vibe of the race, as far as I was concerned, but I'm sure it most definitely affected the Miller family and Keith Berry's pocketbooks.
For sure. And then Camry, like your experience of Woodstock, I mean, like you said, you've been to a race like Lights Out or a different race like that. So how did you take in seeing your dad strap back into a car for the first time in a while? How was that experience for you?
it was really neat to see him back, and it was definitely super exciting for me to see him back because for a little bit there, we weren't sure when he was going to be able to get back in. He, I know, had a great time. He smiled the whole time. He did really good, and I can't wait to see him chase the championship this year.
And then I know today you talked about it, Mark. You're putting on your Hans device and you pull a muscle in your shoulder or something like that. I mean, what's going on? You haven't, I mean, too many Fireball Fridays for you there? You getting a little sore or something?
Hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't know. It was actually kind of embarrassing. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. I felt it when I did it, and I was like, oh boy, that didn't feel good. And it actually took me all the way down. I want to say Thursday after we got done with Q1 Thursday night, and I literally went in the motorhome. Camry did like a Ziploc bag of ice for me, and I put it on my shoulder and laid down in bed and took 4 Advil and went all the way down. I think I was all the way down by like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
I kept checking on him. I'm like, Dad, are you coming outside? Are you eating dinner?
Yeah, which anybody that knows me, that is certainly not my MO. I'm usually coming out at 8:30, 9 o'clock looking for something to do.
For sure. So is that your drinking hand that you pick up the cups, or is that the opposite hand?
No, it was it. That was in rough shape.
It wasn't.
I was gonna need a full cup with a straw.
Oh man, that's definitely not good. But my favorite, we're getting to my favorite section of this, is it's called the hot round. I got 3 questions for you both. Mark, I'm gonna leave you to last because I know how you do it on Fireball Fridays. On Quarantine with the Carusos, you like to think about everything. So Camry, or actually, you know what? I'm gonna go back and forth. Because then that way it'll give Camry some time to think if she thinks I'm gonna ask her the same question. So Camry, I'll go with you first. How many times have you kicked your dad off a Fireball Friday and said, you know what, we're just done?
Probably like almost all of them.
I mean, but for us, you can't do that. Like, it's the best. So why do you kick them off though?
Because I get exhausted of being watching. Like sometimes I just need a nap.
Well, I think I'm gonna speak for the rest of us. If you do it again, you can just go and take a nap and just let Dad run it for the rest of the time. Or...
No.
All right, Mark, I got one for you here. Who is your all-time favorite driver?
Me, of course.
All-time favorite driver, and that is a tough one. But I'd have to probably say Scotty Cannon.
Is there a story behind that one? Usually, you have a story with it. So,
yeah, so I grew up, watching Scotty Cannon, in the birth of Pro Mod, right? And that was always my thing. And I just, I loved watching him from, coming out of Top Sportsman, going into Pro Mod. He was so innovative. Like, I remember one time there was no rules about, like he would just, the guy would take everything to the edge. So I remember one time he showed up at an NHRA race and he had taken like a funny car body and put doors on it, right, as a Pro Mod car back in the old IHRA days, and just whooped up on everybody because it was so aerodynamically better. And they couldn't say anything about it because there was nothing in the rule book that said he couldn't do it. It just said it had to be a left-hand steer door car. And he cut this thing up and put doors on it. And, so I just, I love everything about him. He was, I think he was the John Force before John Force was John Force, at least for the IHRA days, Scotty just didn't get the notoriety that John Force got, because it was Pro Mod. But once he did get over into funny car, and Jim from Oakley there, gave him the opportunity, said, I'll give you whatever you want. You need to go funny car racing. he just carried it right over into that. And I don't know. I always had a lot of respect for him. He was one of those guys. Um, it reminded me a lot of John Force, but he came out of Pro Mod, so I think it just hit closer to home for me than a John Force.
Awesome. So Camry, I got one for you, and there's stipulations on this question too for you. So you can't say your dad and you can't say Papa at all. You just can't. So in your eyes, who is the best male driver and who is the best female driver in your eyes?
Erica's definitely the best female one in my eyes, and Tommy the April is probably the best male one.
All right, I like those answers. All right, back to you, Mark. What is your favorite track, and why?
My favorite track is probably Norwalk, and for a few reasons. And you've probably heard this story if you've tuned into Quarantine with the Carusos enough. I'm sure I've told it more than once. I won my first national event in Norwalk, in the year 2000, and then 2019, so last year. Mm-hmm. Last year, when Camry was driving for Randy Meyer Racing, her and I went to the Lucas Oil Series, NHRA Lucas Oil Series race there, where they also had Pro Mod at that event. And I won Pro Mod and she won Alcohol Dragster. So that was pretty special to me. She got her first Wally. And we got to share the winner's circle together. So, and then the homemade ice cream for $1 a pound is shabby either.
And you can't beat the price of the homemade ice cream either. I mean, you just can't. And that's what's great. Like, I wish and I hope and I really hope, like, telling these stories of, family racing like you guys and telling the stories of all the racers that I would like to tell the stories of. I hope that it brings, that tradition back into racing where, dad races and then the kids kind of follow suit. You can't force it on anyone now. In today's society, everyone is so, touchy on different things. But I hope even with the quarantine that this has kind of brought families together where the kid is like, you know what, Dad? Hey, how about I go into the garage with you and help you tinker with something and learn something about the car? And then maybe they're more apt to getting into a car. So I think that's one thing that you guys have got going that's really, really cool is still to see that true tradition of, family racing. Like, hey, let's go on the weekends, family racing. That's what you guys have going on. So Camry, last question to you. And this one, I think, I don't know, it might shock the world, but who knows? If you could take anyone's car / spot and not your dad's, so anyone else's car and spot, who would it be and why?
Wow.
And if I need to, I can come back to you so you can think about it, but it is the hot round, so, if anyone else was on here, if Jason Logan was on here, he'd be giving you theme music right now.
Okay, go to Dad for a second.
All right.
Yeah, I think that'd be an easy one.
What do you think?
I thought that was like I don't know. Maybe I went harder on Camry than I did you, Mark. But Mark, for you, and you just kind of really said this, but I want another one for you. Best racing memory.
Wow. So this is going to probably seem kind of weird or funny, or people are going to think it's nuts. But there was a time where I actually stopped racing because I had Camry in a junior dragster, my stepdaughter Ava in a junior dragster, and my son Jack in a junior dragster, all at the same time. So there was a period of about 3 years where I didn't race myself, and I just kind of ran around with them junior drag racing. And we were at a race up here in New York at a drag strip that unfortunately is no longer operating, called Skyview Drags. And one afternoon after they were done with the kids racing, they had a parents race, and the parents had to race in the kids juniors. And I it was I drove one of the juniors that weekend, and I won the race, and it was like a 4 or 5 round race, and it was just a lot of fun. You know, the kids were pushing me into the water box, starting it, bringing me to the line, and it was just it was a really great afternoon, you know, with the kids and I, and that's probably one of my most memorable races, honestly.
And it's things like I keep saying, it's things like that you know, Camry will remember and your other kids will remember, and you know that drives them to continue to want to race. You know, that drives them to continue to, you know, go back when the days get long and the days get hard. You know, like you guys were just saying, in Orlando. It's days like that where Camry can remember, and she's like, you know what, Dad? Hey, we got this. Hey, you know, remember the fun times in it. So, Camry, I think we've given you enough time. You have to answer the question.
Can I have 2 answers?
What was that?
Can I have 2 answers?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a 2-part question. So, I mean, if the car is one person and the spot is someone else, that's fine. But like I said, you can't say your dad's name. So,
So 2 cars that I would like to take and drive. One would be Fletcher Cox's radial car, because that thing is really, really pretty. And the Mustang.
Baby, yeah.
I like the Mustang one. And then Melanie Fleming's, because she always is really awesome in it.
I think, well, after last week, Fletcher was watching the show, and he pretty much said, you know, hey, that there's a spot. I mean, I don't know. You might be able to take that car. I don't know if Melanie is going to give you. I don't know about that, but Fletcher said it was okay. So I mean, it's definitely up to him, right?
Yeah.
She tried to spend quite a bit of time in his pit this weekend.
I tried to get his price down on his car because I really want it.
Hey, you just got to fight for what you want. I mean, women are taking over. I shouldn't say you guys are taking over the sport, but you guys are coming strong in the full force. You know, you do your weekly Women's Wednesday, and you know, it never falls short. You guys always are more competitive than guys. And I know for myself, if I line up, there's a lady when I raced. Now I do more outlaw racing when I get the chance to race, but there was a lady in the mod class. I hated lining up next to her. I just absolutely hate it, because here I am. I'm a dude. You know, there's no way I'm going to get beat by a girl, right? And then she is deadly on the tree, and then once she hits high gear, she's gone. So, I mean, you guys have an advantage. Women are taking over the sport, but for both of you guys, if there's anyone that you guys want to, you know, give a shout out to, who are those people that help you guys get to the racetrack, and who are those people that you guys want to give a shout out to?
Well, first and foremost, obviously, none of this would be possible without my father. You know, he's the one that he's the patriarch that started this whole deal long before I ever thought of doing it, long before Camry was even ever thought of. So first and foremost, you know, definitely my father, who everybody refers to as Pappa Joe. And secondly, Lee White and Hank Jackson, you know, they handle our whole race operation from top to bottom, to, you know, making sure the car and engines are ready, the motor home you know, gets to the track. You know, so without those guys, you know, we certainly would not be able to do, you know, what we love.
And to cut you off really quick right there, when you talk about those two, Lee White and Hank Jackson, first of all, and this is going to be a personal opinion, and I might get in trouble for this, but I think Lee White is a guy that is so good and maybe underrated by so many people, but he's proven himself time and time again. Like what you guys did, and like I can go back to the World Doorslammers, but Lee White and Hank Jackson, shout out to you guys for what you guys are doing. And I don't care what anyone says, you guys have a spot in my heart. Even though I'm not that big, but those two guys will bust their butts to make anything happen, and you won't hear them complain at all because they love racing just like the next person. So I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but I did want to just let people know that look out for that name because he's doing some great things.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. You said it perfectly. I mean, really, honestly, until he got a great driver like me, he never got the notoriety that he deserved.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
But yeah, I know you. And that's what's fun about it, right? You guys have people like them in your pits that you guys can joke around with, and throw shade, as the new kids say. You can throw shade at them, and they won't get mad at you guys because you guys are more than just a team. You guys are a family.
Absolutely, 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. And last but not, cannot forget my girlfriend Christy, who keeps us fed and hydrated very well every race weekend.
Except I took breakfast this weekend.
Yeah, well, I know, like I said before, it's always been a pleasure, talking with you guys and working with you guys. And I know we're still in the midst of working on some things that we can't really talk about right now. But I don't know, Mark, if you heard your theme song that I kind of gave you, Welcome Back by Mace. That was just a welcome back. The Rodfather is in the seats of the car. Camry is looking to get into a door car. But I definitely have something for you, Mark. I don't know. I know World Series of Pro Mod was kind of a long night, but I want to send you guys out on this song. Mark Caruso's song from World Doorslammer National. All he do is win by DJ Cali. He felt cute on Sunday. Thank you guys for the time and for you guys coming on. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us.
All right. What's up, everybody? I'm going to tell you the easiest way to start your podcast right now. It's called Anchor. Go over, download the Anchor app, get on their site, and start your podcast today. You don't have to have any listenership already. You can start from scratch. It's going to distribute all of your podcasts to the major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Has a creative tool. You can edit from your computer or your phone if you're on the go. It's just really the easiest way to start your podcast. So if you haven't done it already, go over and download the Anchor app and get started on your podcast today. All right, there it is, everybody. Mark and Camry Caruso Family Racing. Go over and give them a like on Instagram and on Facebook. Again, that is Caruso Family Racing. It was really good for me to have them on, as they did win the Doorslammer Nationals, working with Alex Laughlin in the Pro Mod Series. Return of the Rodfather, with Mark getting back into the saddle of his car that he calls Leo, or Camry calls it, and then Camry in her car. And then she's testing to get into a door car. She's really passionate about the sport. And that's what it's all about, is having people that really care, really want to do this, really love drag racing. As myself, Outlaw Performance ENT, we want to get to any of the tracks near you, help you with your race program, promoting your race program, getting you sponsors, anything that we can help you guys with. So, that's why we do this podcast, is to tell the stories. As you heard, Mark's favorite race is to be one where he's in a junior jacksters racing with this kid. Camry's telling her dad, hey team, we got this. We're going to keep going. You know, it's building that foundation in the kids younger that's building them up until like Camry, where she's like, hey dad, you know what? I want a door car. I want to be up there with the best of the best, and I want to race with the best of the best. So that's what it's truly all about. This has been another episode of In the Groove Podcast, brought to you by Mabro Motorsports, LS Tech and Mexican Food, and the good folks over at Outlaw Performance ENT. If you haven't done already, please go over and check out all of our social medias. Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube, all under outlawperformance.ent. Till next time, you guys keep smashing that loud pedal.